left my career in engineering to become a life coach, a healer, and a content creator. Hello, my loves. I am Avantika. I'm your go-to big sis, helping you own your power, trust your path, and step fully into the woman you're meant to be. Let me take you behind the scenes of my own transition into this career path, because from the surface, you might think, wait, you just left your career as an engineer? Oh my gosh, like Indian families, what are they going to think, right? I know all of yous who've always been told that you can either be engineer, doctor, or a lawyer, and those are all your choices, right? Maybe go into investment banking or something like that, but those are all your choices, right? If you grew up in that sort of culture, you know what it's like to leave it behind and for something that was completely different. And that's how I felt. Like, I switched to something completely different, which is healing. I do coaching now for women, but I started off as a healer, and I was doing readings as well, tarot readings, and doing Reiki healing for different people. And honestly, it wasn't a jump that I made straight away, because that's way too scary. I had to build my skills as well as just really know that what I'm doing is something that is truly heart-led, and it truly was. Now I get to do this as part of my profession. Let's start from the beginning. So I moved to Germany in 2021 for a new life. I basically had a job offer in East Germany, and I moved there, and it was great because I was like leaving behind, all the kind of comfort that I had been in it at home. All my friendship circles were the same. I had a stable job. I was like, you know what? I want this adventure. So I went off and moved to Germany. And it was something I wanted to do at least once in my life, which is to live abroad. So I started my life there. I was still in this hustle mode because prior to that, I was still going in hustle mode. I was just so all the time motivated. I was building my career, as you are in your 20s. But I was doing too much. And that got made very clear when I got injured whilst I was practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was sparring with someone, and my leg landed in a funny way, and my injury happened, which forced me to stop everything. Now, I was in a foreign country with basically not really many friends. I was only a month in there, and I had just started a new job and in a different language, and I didn't have the comfort whilst going through this injury. So what happened was, from this injury, I went to see a couple of doctors, and they said that they can see a bit of something that is going on here. They said bone bruise, but actually it didn't really add up why I still had the pain, and they said I need a lot of physiotherapy. So I was doing a lot of physiotherapy, but the cause of like where the pain was coming from was never really fully clear. And the pain kind of radiated all the way from the bottom of my leg to the top, like towards my hip. And I was like, okay, well, when I felt the injury, it felt like more like knee, but now this felt a lot deeper. Well, anyway, so I decided that there's got to be something more to it. So I decided to get a Reiki healing session, right? And I was having other health issues too, so I decided, okay, let's see what happens. Prior to this, I was spiritually curious, but I was not really that spiritual, and I didn't believe in anything woo-woo or anything like that, right? But this was eye-opening. Honestly, if you've ever had Reiki session done, it can be so healing for you, and that's what I felt. When I had Reiki done, I truly felt like this is something that feels so good. The management of pain was just so much better. And I talk about this in detail in my other video, which is all about chronic UTIs and how I manage my pain through self-Reiki. So you can also check that out. But it just made things so much better in day to day. And I felt like I was like healing on a deeper level, and I can't even describe it. Anyway, so I liked it so much that I became a healer myself. I trained in Reiki, I became attuned to it, and did my level 2, after which I was kind of practicing it on other people. I was offering Reiki and I just started building clients. And this was like whilst I was working full time, and I just started building clients, and it truly felt so aligned. And I can't even describe how aligned it felt. And just healing others was also healing me. Anyway, so whilst I was doing this, I came across tarot readings, and I have never been into any tarot. I was such a skeptic. I was like, what is even tarot, to be honest? Anyways, I came across this YouTube video where um, this lady was really explaining tarot in a different way. It wasn't explained in a very woo-woo way, it was just done in such a relatable way. And the things that she was saying was something that I was going through exactly at that time. And I was so curious. So I booked a reading with her, and now she's one of my best friends, actually. And she lives in the States, and we connected so much over the years. And when I had this session with her, she literally told me, yeah, you're meant to be a reader and you are a healer. And I was like, what does that even mean? I've been an engineer my whole life. That's what I did. Like, that's what I got my degrees in. Like, I was so identified with my achievements and the degrees and everything that I had achieved, right, until that point, but not necessarily what my true nature was. I didn't know what my true nature was. This began a whole new level of self-discovery. So whilst I was also doing tarot, I was also doing Reiki, I really delved into other tools like manifestation. I literally read so much about manifestations, experimented with different methods, 369, scripting, visualization, you name it, I tried them and they worked, really worked. I tried different energy healings, I learned about the meridians, and just deep spiritual healing and healing in chakras. I really learned about all those tools. I just really thought about, why isn't it talked about in this way? Why isn't this being offered as alongside just modern medicine, but also having these ancient tools that can also help you? Since I couldn't train jiu-jitsu, I started teaching it. I actually became a women's self-defense coach. And that's where the main thing, like the biggest link that I was noticing, that a lot of the women that were attending my classes, and sometimes my classes were like literally sold out. And I was like, holding these workshops, and I was just noticing how being a healer as well as an empowered individual, through the martial arts that I had done, I was truly helping women in such a way that helped with their empowerment. So I felt like there's something here, there's a link here. I'm meant to do something like this. I didn't know the full picture, but I knew in that moment that when I was teaching self-defense classes, or I was doing Reiki healing, or I was doing readings for people, it just felt so aligned. I had never felt that level of alignment where I was serving other people and genuinely helping them heal and become better and become empowered, have more confidence. And I just felt like my path is somewhere here, but I didn't know what it would look like. Now, by January 2023, my Reiki and tarot and self-defense workshops were actually doing really well, and I was having a hard time coping with those alongside my full-time job in academia. It was a lot. I was really busy. So that's when I made the decision, I'm going to go part-time. And that's what I did. So I worked 4 days a week, and that one day just allowed me that flexibility for, just to hold any sessions, just to do content creation, because I was trying to do some YouTube videos as well where I was filming readings and just practiced, built, and gained an audience. And if I had any self-defense workshops, I would do them as well. And this is how my spiritual business started growing, through referrals, word of mouth, and it felt really effortless to call in the clients because I was just like talking to them about this. And don't get me wrong, I definitely had these two personalities within me, right? I was living in this world where I was, after work, I was a different personality, and during work, I was this, the kind of my old identity, and it was shifting into the new identity. But I was kind of hiding it as well because, spiritual and science don't necessarily really are seen in the same light as by everyone. And Reiki is not necessarily always accepted by everyone. I know there's a select audience for it. So that's something I had to manage. At my work, people didn't really, they weren't really, I don't want to say accepting, but they may have been spiritual curious, but they didn't believe in it really. And which I get because I was like that before too, but I felt like I couldn't share that part with everyone because it was just so different to the current part. So I refrained from talking about it as much. Then a lot of shifts came. Well, I actually managed to get a studio in Berlin where I was doing Reiki healing. So I was still working part time, but I had moved to Berlin. And for one day, I had this studio for me where I created my business cards and, I was like promoting it everywhere I went, hairdressers or wherever I went. I was like, oh, yeah, come to my Reiki studio. And I started getting sessions booking and as well as readings. Actually, readings were kind of taking off as well, and basically I was building this business, and I was noticing there's just something about this that I'm really, really loving. I felt more me, myself, in years. Than, yeah, I couldn't remember ever feeling like that before. Just that, I was no longer trying to fit into a system. Since I moved to Berlin, I dressed quite eccentric in an eccentric way. I just experimented a lot with who I was. And I was creating my own life on my own terms. Berlin gave me this freedom, expression, and just expansion without judgment. Everyone was similar to me there. I felt so accepted for who I was. I didn't feel weird. Other places I did. I felt judged, but there I didn't. I felt like I could just be this way and no one is going to bat an eyelid, or judge me for that. In January 2024, I made a big leap and I decided to leave my career in academia completely. And that was a conscious decision because I realized I want to dedicate more time to this business. And yeah, so I was doing tarot, Reiki, as well as I started doing coaching actually. My work was building more and more into coaching. I wasn't doing as much self defense coaching anymore. I became more of a mindset and a spiritual life coach. And I was doing that on the side as well. I was doing 10-day kind of mindset training workshops, hosting manifestation workshops, transformational kind of coaching. I was doing like readings. So I was building my business that way until around February and March time. My health really started to take a turn. And luckily at the time, I was on the unemployment benefits because, and this is a taboo, right? Not many people are going to share this. I'm sharing this because this entire entrepreneurial journey, a lot of coaches don't share it. They just show the kind of like one result to the other, but it's not always the smoothest. You may have, things coming up in your day-to-day life which can't really be controlled, such as health issues and all these things, and you need a cushion. And I'm so grateful that I actually went for this unemployment benefit at the time because my health was not in the best place, right? And so at that time I was still doing my, running my business and building it. I was attending loads of networking events for entrepreneurs, meeting loads of exciting new people, and I loved the new path. I was really disciplined. I was immensely good at, just going to the gym and cooking really healthy foods and just building my mindset in this way and this adapting to this new entrepreneurial journey. However, if again, I'm going to link the chronic UTIs, how I healed my chronic UTIs journey in this video, and you can check that out. And that literally explains what my health issues were. And on top of that, a lot of other issues came up, like my thyroid. I had hypothyroidism or borderline hypothyroidism, which explained why I was having such fatigue symptoms. And I realized, okay, I need to heal. I actually need to heal a bit more before I can truly fully dive into this. So, and that's when I also felt, I started to feel this before actually, that my journey in Germany and in Berlin was coming to an end. And that wasn't because, like, not just because I wasn't working there in the same way as before, but also because I felt like being in Germany was a period in my life which was meant to be for healing. And I had healed a lot from there. And that was also the time when I had my Saturn returns. And my Saturn returns had ended. And, it truly felt like chapter is complete, karma is complete. My soul contract has ended in that place. And it felt like a clean cut. And so a month later, I moved back to England. And I took a pause on my business. I was still doing workshops, I was still doing readings, but I took a bit of pause, and I decided to take a new role, and I worked in sales. And these were in manufacturing sales. It was for a it is, it was for a family business, and I learned so much in sales. Now, honestly, coming from academic background and switching to a role that involves you to be very confident, sell, selling by being a certain personality as well. And you have to be very you have to know your products very well, but also you just have to be very charismatic. It just brought a whole new personality to me, which I hadn't actually seen before. And I decided to pursue this, So I went into sales. I was also at the same time creating content for people, doing like weekly readings, tarot readings on YouTube. I was doing like content creation on Instagram, and mostly I was doing workshops. I started doing vision board workshops online, and whilst also working in the sales role. But this sales role taught me so much, and it really truly made me see just how learning to sell anything, and actually to learning to sell yourself, is such a key skill. So that was my path. That was in the next year, and I was doing sales, but also that allowed me flexibility to heal myself because of my chronic health issues. After all that journey, I now have my own coaching company, right? So I am coaching women and coaching wonderful, ambitious women who are similar to me, who have also been burnt out from their workplaces, who have also felt like they're meant for more. They are meant to lead rather than just be relatable, It's almost like a revolution that they are feeling within themselves. And actually, it has a lot to do with our societal conditioning, the people pleasing that we have really grown up with. And I felt like this entrepreneurial journey really helped me heal that, really helped me transform into a person that I never thought I could be, right? I was like, when I was younger, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was quite like energetic, bubbly, very extroverted. Something happened. Then after that, I became extremely introverted, shy. I didn't have as much confidence, My self esteem really went low, especially because we moved countries from India to the UK. And I was just fitting in. I was just trying to fit in to this new world and trying to be like everyone else. And now it felt like it was journey back home to myself. And that actually involved delayering and deconditioning everything that I had picked up on the way, such as limiting beliefs that, money has to come a certain way, which is from your generational trauma, or comes from your ancestors, or that, I can't have a partner who adores me because, in the past it never worked out, which is all just our conditioning and past experiences, which we have taken on as our own self concept. And that's when I knew that the importance of self concept, that if you change your identity, your self concept, and rewire it, Joe Dispenza talks about it. There's a lot of other coaches who talk about it. Manifestation community is all about this. But if you rewire yourself, you can literally become who you want to be. If you heal yourself, you can literally become who and how you want to be. And when I knew that, I knew life was limitless, you know? Life was truly limitless. And that is exactly what I teach now to my clients. You know, I have mentorship programs, one to one coaching, and we go through this in my coaching program. We go through how to transition from one career to the other, if that's what you're calling in. We go from how to call in a higher level of income, higher level of salary. We go from how to call in this just unshakable confidence that when you walk in a room, you just feel so comfortable. You feel so just magnetic, and people are really looking at you because they see your magnetism, because that's possible, really possible. Trust me, I know it is. I've been through that transformation, and that's what I teach you. And that is exactly what you get in my program. You know, all my clients, my incredible clients who are already quite ambitious women, right? They come from ambitious careers, they've worked entire lives. Often they are like either only children, or they are eldest daughters like me, you know, or they've just been in this hustle culture and they're done. They're done with this, you know. And I'm sharing this path because I feel like that if you are wanting to jump into the next career, so that, you know, you have all the information, what I went through, and you can make your decisions accordingly, right? I had certain health issues. Maybe you have something like that. Maybe you want to consider healing that first. I would recommend getting your healing done first, then kind of jumping into this next step. And I guide you through that, because it all starts with your self concept, right? We see where the energy blockages are in your body. We see what is actually stopping you from taking the steps to move forward. You know, what is actually stopping you from um, claiming this new version of yourself? Because you want it. You know, you want to be this woman who has it all, who claims it all, who just steps into this new world. And that's what we go through in my coaching. I hope this video helped you. I hope this gives you a bit more confidence that, you know, your path may and probably will look completely different, but you have support. You have support from someone who has been there, who's been doing this path, and who has navigated the ups and downs and the beautiful connections, as well as just the lows of what happens when, you know, things don't go as planned. Thank you for watching, and if this resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe, and do share it with your friends and people you know who may benefit from this. I'll see you in the next one.